Hello out there in video land. Hello out there in radio land. I think we got everything going here. No, no. Yes, yes. Yes, we do. I'm pretty sure we got everything going. It looks like it to me. Welcome to the show. Your city, your voice, live. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, live from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the studios of 4680Q, your city, your voice. There it is up there. That's what we're doing here today on Trash Talkin' Tuesday. Yeah, that's what we call our Tuesdays, Trash Talkin' Tuesday. We're looking at all the systems. All systems look go. So let's get into the show. Look at this weather out here. 70 degrees, maybe. That's about it. I mean, that's good, but I expect maybe more for this time of year. And it's windy out, very windy. So if you're going outside, get ready for wind. It's going to dry everything out, water those flowers. Geez, we had that big Rick Rose event on the weekend. I want to send out my apologies to Evan Rotella and Dave Rave. I mentioned everybody who played there that day, except the ones I didn't know, and I forgot about them. And they actually played a song, one of the original songs that Rick Rose wrote. So to forget them was not was not good. My memory isn't what it used to be. What can I tell you? But we got him in today anyway. I looked at the card and I go, oh boy, I forgot to mention those two guys. So now I'm mentioning them. That's all right. Everything works out. It all works out at the end. And the impromptu acts, I'm sorry, I don't even know who you were. A couple of people went up there and played. I don't know who they were, and I didn't get any names to go with them. Okay, you know what? I was coming around the corner here on Park and Chrysler to come to the studio. I'm telling you, there is it. Anybody got a fishing line out there? Come on down to Chrysler Avenue by Park Street. There's a pothole there that you could fish in. If it was raining out, you could fish in it. It's huge. If you're coming down this way, be very careful down the end of Chrysler towards Park because this is big. It'll eat your car. These guys are pulling down here in these beautiful convertible BMWs and everything. Oh, look at this guy. He's got the big Mercedes convertible, big shot. Guess what? He hits that pothole. He's going to be getting a new rim, new tires, and the city don't pay. I'll guarantee you, you make a claim on the city you wish you never did because you can tell them, take pictures, you can do anything. Their job, their insurance broker, is not to pay claims to anybody. I lost a tire. I'm lucky I didn't lose a rim. I had to get a balance after they were finished. And you know what? Unfortunately, I put the claim in and they said no. And it was obvious that they should have paid it. But that's the way they do it in this city. So if anybody's listening from City Hall, send a crew down to Chrysler Avenue and fix that pothole. It's huge. It's huge, Buffalo. Hey, anybody out there following the NHL playoffs? I watched the game last night, and the Florida Panthers just destroyed the elbows up Edmonton Oilers. All the Canadians elbows up. Well, you got destroyed last night, and I'm going to tell you one thing: if Edmonton doesn't play a better game and come back in Game 4, they lose that one in Florida. You can just about kiss that cup goodbye. And Canadians want a Canadian team to win it. They haven't won it since 1993 when Montreal Canadiens, my team, won it. And we're going to be the next ones to win it. Edmonton looked terrible last night. Their goaltender let them down. They had to pull them out and everything else. So we'll see what happens. But if they don't win the next one in Florida, I can say, there goes the city truck. The guy just came down the street with a big pizza. He should have put it in the pothole. If they don't get it, they don't win the next one. It's over, Rover. They're not going to win 3 straight against the Florida Panthers. They're just too good of a team. So after that, let's get to my sponsors. I love talking about my sponsors. They sponsor the show. They sponsored the Rick Rose street naming ceremony. They sponsored that. They're great people. They really, really support the city. And I hope everybody that's watching the show supports them because at the end of the day, we like these small businesses in Niagara Falls who are trying to grind out a buck and they give so much back to the community. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, Hamill Machine Company, You got to be proactive. Get your car in to Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop on Oakwood Drive next to the Kia dealership. Let Ken Hunter take your car, put it on his diagnostic equipment, and actually give you the readout so you know what's wrong with your car. If anything, he's going to check all your systems, your brakes. He's gonna check everything for you and make sure your car's running tip top so you don't break down in the summer, and especially get that air conditioning changed, get your oil changed, make sure your brakes are good. You're gonna go on vacation. Your kids are want to go somewhere. You don't want to break down. That's the worst thing that could happen. As well, if you get in a wreck, guess what? Ken will take your car in wrecked and send it back to you in showroom condition. He's got a full body shop there. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Oakwood Drive, next to the Kia dealership. Check it out at wildbillsauto.ca and support our sponsors. They support you. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. And while you're on the internet checking out their website, which you should do, you want to subscribe to this channel. If you're watching, just go down to subscribe. It costs you nothing. Subscribe, like, or don't like, leave a comment. All that helps the algorithm, which puts this show out on YouTube, out on Rumble, out on X. Gets more people involved, more people watching, and that's what we want. They're already talking about the election coming up in 2026, one short year from now, just a year and 3 or 4 months. We want to make sure we're all tuned in, we're all involved, and we get a good turnout. That's what we're working for. That's why we're here. Okay, let's do some viewer comments. There were some viewer comments on previous shows. I never got into them yesterday. We'll definitely get into them today. Thursday show, Gary Wilkins was the guest on the show. At Dave Wheeler, 1158, Shannon was very defensive. And who he was talking about was the woman that was there with Gary and Mike on Monday, last Monday. And they went to the Cyanamid property and they took these people from the city and the region for a tour of the contaminated property there and where the contamination is and some unsafe areas. And the girl, Shannon, whoever she was, I don't know her last name. I don't know what position she holds, but she was very defensive. And yeah, she wasn't very receptive, not very open minded, all kinds of excuse and gaslighting and everything else. At Dave Wheeler, 1158, Gary and Mike did a great job. And yes, Wheels, they did. They're the authorities on this the contaminated land. I would say between them, they know more than anyone else in Niagara Falls about the Cyanamid property and other properties there that are contaminated, like the Meteor Crater across the street, some SciTech properties, wherever they've dumped waste. And there's a lot of places because this was a big center of industry at one time. At 881 Slick, always feel blessed seeing you, Paul. Had a blast, my Doge brother. Yes, we had a good time on the show, Gary. We always do when any of the guys come in because we bring them in because they know stuff and we want to share that information with everybody. So, yes, it was awesome to have you here. We had our Doge shirts on, the Doge team. Oh, what else do we have here? At Dave Wheeler, 1158 on Friday's show, Mike Cushman was in the studio talking about the Cyanamid property and the history and the facts. At Dave Wheeler, the ticks in there are as big as the size of rats and have 3 heads. Funny comment. It's contaminated land, and they've mutated those ticks. But basically, the woman that Shannon didn't want to go into these grassy areas and that because of ticks. And they believe me, there's no animals, no vegetables, no mineral, nothing there. They're dead. Everything's dead from the contamination. There's no insects in there, nothing. It's like dead land when you go in there. It's contaminated. Her fear of getting ticks is unfounded. Not in that wasteland, but she didn't want to go in anyway. So Dave, funny comment. Funny comment. At 881 Slick, good show, gents. Amazing topics. I think Shannon was so defensive because she knows they can't prove us wrong. And you know what? That is possible, Gary. That is possible. You guys had all your facts straight. Mike had videos. Mike had paperwork. Yet everything that they denied, it was right there in black and white from previous inspections, from previous testing, from city maps that show where these underground streams run from the contaminated property to the Niagara River, right into the Niagara River, or right into the hydro canal, which by way of the reservoir in Sir Beck goes into the river anyway. I mean, either way, all these little streams and that run to the river, they're underground and they're not 2 feet down like what they've dug out to perhaps remediate the land to somebody's satisfaction. It's not that, but but it definitely is there, and they're deeper underground, and this stuff filters through and seeps into these little streams, underground streams, and eventually they end up in a river. At Dave Wheeler, 1158. Good questions and fact filled answers. Yes, it was very informative. Mike knows of what he speaks, and Gary is right there with him. He worked at the Sidemen. They know what they're talking about. And at Dave Wheeler, 1158. Well done, lads. Hats off to Mike and Gary. Exactly. And I think the city in that should listen more to them. And, it really makes me laugh because they say, oh, they've been remediated. We got all these tests and everything else. I mean, what harm would it do to take another look at it and make sure everything's correct? These companies that develop some of these lands and that, they get third parties that either work for them or have worked for them to do this kind of stuff. So you don't know if they're jimmying these results or not. You can take any kind of numbers and make them work in your favor if you want. You can make 2 + 2 = 5 if you want. So, sometimes it's good to trust, but it's also good to verify. Trust, but verify. And for them to take another look at it just to make sure it's right. Because, at one time, the Love Canal, they told them everything was good. Yeah, you can build on this. You can build homes. You can build schools. No problem. It's been remediated. It's clean. We've capped it. And then it's never a problem until it's a problem. And that's what happened there. A circumstance one spring, heavy snowfall, heavy rains in the spring, and oil floats on water, and all those dioxins and everything else floated to the surface, and they caused real trouble to the point where people had to move out of there. The EPA came in, and it was a big deal. Better to double check. What do they say? Double measure, cut once. Double measure and cut once, or whatever they call it. There's something. Anyway, that's what they should do. So thank you for the comments, everybody. Yeah, come on, everybody. If you're listening or you're watching, leave comments. I want to know what you have to think about stuff. I ask a lot of you to give us comments so we know. Okay, to be honest with you, there's really not a lot of news in Niagara Falls right now. Everything's kind of quiet. We had the Rick Rose event on the weekend, of course. Ribfest ready to go this Father's Day weekend at the Convention Center on Stanley Avenue, followed up by Ribstock at Fireman's Park the week later. That event is sponsored by 4680Q Radio and features a performance by LMT Connection. Ribfest is featuring a performance by David Wilcox. And of course, they have the ribs and everything else there. And at Fireman's Park, it's going to be a little different. It's going to have rides because they're going to do it in conjunction with the Stafford Center Volunteer Firefighters Carnival. So they're going to have rides and rivers and food trucks and live music. It's going to be fun. So get down to these events, support these events. And let's see, this Monday or next week's going to be a little bit better as far as news goes because it's the city council meeting week. So Monday, Dave Wheeler will be in the show with me. We'll be doing the agenda review for the city council and wrapping it up a little bit on Tuesday. And then as we move through the week, Thursday and Friday, we'll be talking more about the meeting after it's held on Tuesday at 4:00. We'll be able to comment more on it. But I did see a headline in the review that says Niagara Health closing urgent care centers 1 day per week due to physician shortage. Does that concern anybody? I would say yes, it does. I mean, geez, they're going to close it down 1 day. Fort Erie and Port Colborne are the hospitals affected. They're going to be affected by it. Niagara Health Chief of Staff Dr. Kevin Chan said at Monday morning news conference that closures are really a last resort, but they are a resort. Starting in July, 40 Urgent Care Center emergency room will be closed Fridays, while Port Coburn's will be closed Saturdays, both until early September. Both will be closed Canada Day and August 30th, and September 1st for the August 30th to September 1st for the Labor Day weekend. And the Fort Erie unit will be closed for the civic holiday weekend, August 1st to August 4th. And, that's concerning because you're going to be in the middle of the summer, the top of the tourist season. Port Colborne has those ships coming in. Fort Erie's always got people down in Fort Erie with the beaches and everything, and they're going to be closed one day a week. Plus, these long weekends are totally closed, which means the closest place to go is, Welland or Niagara Falls. It seems ridiculous, especially on long weekends, that they're closing these units down. It's crazy. And summertime, a lot of people are outdoors. They're doing things. More people get hurt because they are doing things. They're not sitting at home eating popcorn and watching the Beverly Hillbillies. They travel. There's a lot more people around. And they're closing it at the time they need it most. So they're announcing that now, they said, so that you will know it's going to be closed on those weekends. So, if you're going to be around those weekends or anything happens, you don't have to go to those hospitals not open. You can run right to Niagara Falls or Welland. They think this is a good thing to let people know in advance, which it may well be. Dr. Pam Capand, Chief of Emergency Medicine for Niagara South, said many physicians have stepped up to work extra hours, extra shifts, but that is not enough to resolve the problem of doctor shortages, and they think they need about 10 to 15 more doctors to be able to cover all the shifts. The problem here is not only there are not enough doctors for the Niagara region in these emergency rooms, family doctors who wish to make the move to emergency rooms have to attend additional training to make the transition to the emergency room, but then the family doctors aren't there to work with their patients. I mean, so it's one of those things where we got to hire more doctors. That's what the bottom line is. And that's where, John Ringo Beam's solution may come in handy. Hire more doctors, and then some of these doctors who want to transition to the emergency room and get the additional training will be able to do it. And like John said, hire doctors. Don't bring them in and open a business. Hire them by the region. Hire 10 to 15 doctors. Set them all up in business. All they have to do is doctor. They don't have to run a business. They don't have to maintain an office. They don't have to furnish an office. Just come down, get into that emergency room, and we'll take care of the rest for you. Or the family doctors that want to move over, they can move over, and new doctors that want to set up shop, we'll take care of that for you. You're working for the region or the city. You're going to get money for it. And then at the end of the day, the emergency doctors will be there to do the work that they need to do. Apparently, cash incentives and that kind of thing aren't working because we're still way short of doctors. And most municipalities in the region are offering $100,000, $50,000. They're offering cash bonuses for people to come down here, sit down, and sign up. And they don't seem to be getting what they need. So to me, that means that they've got to do something else. They got to throw away the box. They can't think out of the box. They got to throw away the box and come up with a new box. That's the bottom line. So I think a financial partnership is perfect. Simcoe's trying it. They're going to try it. They're going to hire a doctor, let the city pay for the doctor, and give him a salary, and then run his office for him. So he don't have to do that. He can just do what he does best, doctor. And right now, they're kind of going this route, working with the city of Port Colborne, that would transfer ownership of the hospital to the city, which could then be leased to family physician teams to provide primary care. Now that's kind of part of the solution. They're on the right track there, but they really just have to set these guys up. Don't make them open their own business. Don't give them a cash incentive. Just say, here, you're all set up. You have the administration, you have your office. Now all you have to do is go in there and see patients, and then we'll get the OHIP. We'll pay you a salary. You're good to go. And if they want to branch out on their own after, if they think they can make more money, but a going salary for average salary for a doctor in this area, that's what they would pay them. So that they're on the right track there, I think. And there are other cities looking at this, and I think that John Ringo Beam said it on my show a couple years ago, that that's the way it's got to go. If they're going to get doctors in, they're going to attract them, make it so they can come and have a turnkey operation. They don't have to open up a business. Doctors are not traditionally really good business people. They're good at being doctors. So that's a real pain for them to have to come in, set up an office, hire people, and go through the whole rigmarole of reception and everything else. If you could set them up so they just have to walk in the door and go to work, they would be so happy. That would attract a lot of these doctors. That would attract a lot of them. So come on, let's get on it. Let's do it. Why wait? Why fool around? Thanks to Alan Benner of the St. Catharines Standard. That's who wrote the article. It was a really good article. You can look at it at the review. Apparently, according to Niagara Independent, the Niagara Independent's an online news source that I use. The region is already starting its budget process, as councilors want to ensure that this year's budget comes in ahead of the 2026 calendar year. So they're starting it early because there's already been bad news released of a double-digit increase in our taxes, and most departments are submitting double-digit increases. So they want to get on it right now and take a look at it and make sure they come in at what they need, and see if they can somehow cut expenses. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous because it's never happened, but Bob Gale has come up and said he'd like to see a 3.5% cap on an increase. That's it. That's all he wants. So his proposal, apparently, the convener, Wayne Redderkop, said they're going to try and meet that parameter. So at least they're starting out at 3.5%. They're going to try to meet that and add more percents as they need them. But I think they're going to probably come in double digits. I can't see them sticking at 3.5. My thing is start at zero. Why start at 3.5? Let's start at zero, see if we can come in at 213,000, the same as last year. And that might mean cutting some expenses. Let's see if we can come in at zero, no increase. 3.5% of 213 million isn't chicken feed, right? 213 million, 6% is probably, well, you figure it out, it's probably, like $1.5 million or something like that, right? I mean, 10% of 213 million is 21 million. 5% would be 10 million. So it'd probably be about 12 million or something. So we're at the point now where, it doesn't sound like a lot, 3.5%, but when you figure it all out, it's a few bucks. It's a few bucks. So we want to make sure we don't hammer the taxpayers too hard, but I don't know if we're going to get away with that. Anyway, they should live within their means. It doesn't look like they're going to. I mean, the Niagara Regional Police are already looking for another 15% on their sorry, that was, yeah, that's $1 billion budget. So yeah, we're talking big money here. 3.5% of billions of dollars, $1 billion. 213 million is just the police, and they want a 15% hike. So you're talking another 13, 14 million or more. Oh, yeah, the $1 billion budget, 3% of a billion is what, 30 million. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. I mean, It's going to be a wide rate on the field goal kick we're trying to make here at 3.5%, and it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. But they're preparing for it now. I guess they're going to give us the bad news and beforehand so that we can get ready for the sticker shock. And then we got our own city council sitting there eyeballing a pretty big increase as well, I would imagine. I don't know how they're gonna do it. They're already running huge deficits. They're in debt like crazy, and they got so many big projects they got to deal with. I mean, 400 million to probably 7 or 8 million, 800 million now for that waste treatment plant out in Grassy Brook. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I guess they're gonna get together and prepare us for the worst. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I guess that's their motto. But either way, they're gonna pick your pocket. Yeah, they're gonna pick our pockets. Okay, so I got to get to my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. Now, if you like pizza and you like consistently good pizza, I would advise you to take a trip down to Victoria Avenue and grab yourself a Pete's Pizza from their store on Victoria Avenue. Those guys, they know how to make a pizza. They take the Mancini family recipe for sauce and crust, and it's been around for 40 years, tried and true, just fantastic. They drop it on the pizza. Then they throw on a beautiful blend of Puto mozzarella with brick cheese in the right ratios. That's the important part. The right ratio of sauce to cheese. Throw on fresh toppings, and you got yourself a winner. Throw it in the oven, cook it right, and away we go. We got a pizza. And that's what they do every time, consistently. But don't just think of them as a pizza joint. They have phenomenal wings. They have phenomenal poutine, steak and cheese poutine, steak sandwiches. They have panzerotti and a full menu. So if you don't like pizza or somebody here that's having dinner with you don't like pizza, you can always find something else. They have everything there. And it's all very good. Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, 905-374-2222, or Pete'sPizzaVictoria.ca. You can get your pizza today, hot and fresh. You know you want one. What's today? Tuesday? Well, tomorrow a tray of pizza is $19.99 with 3 toppings. And on Thursday, I think they're $9.49. $9.49 for a pound of wings any way you like. Pete's Pizza Victoria Avenue. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. Support our sponsors because they support the show. They support the city. I keep getting this email from Elon Musk. Apparently, he wants to send me a new car and $5 million cash. I mean, I appreciate that, Elon. I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all. You got lots of money. We know you got like $500 billion. But I said, well, I didn't really. I said, no, you wanted to send me a Mercedes. I'm going, wow, a Mercedes. You make Teslas, dude. Why are you sending me a Mercedes? And $5 million. I said, nah, I don't want it. I don't want it, Elon. Keep it. Keep it. You might need it someday. And after I rejected that offer, told him no, he said, well, how about 30,000 in a Tesla? I guess I should have taken the first offer. He really lowballed me on that one. I mean, you can do better with that. But I said, nah, Elon. Give it to somebody who needs it more than I do. The kind of guy I am. And after that, I never heard from him anymore. Maybe he's going to bring me another offer, but it appears his feud with Trump is quieted down. You heard about this. Him and Trump are battling it out. Their lovers' quarrel, or whatever the heck it is, the bro quarrel. And I haven't heard too much about it lately. Now, Musk's father, Errol Musk, said the dispute was triggered by months of stress on both sides, and the public battle has to end. Elon, that's it. Your dad's saying it's got to end. It has to end. And they were going back and forth pretty good at with Elon saying that the reason Trump won't allow the files from Epstein to be released is because he's in them. Trump's in the files. Elon's seen him. Trump's in the files, he said. And that's a pretty low blow, really, because, I mean, history says that Trump doesn't like this guy. He barred him from Mar-a-Lago because he didn't like him. So there's no history there. And, the other thing is, Elon, if you're listening to the show, you never know, you might be. You don't think the Democrats would have used this against Trump? You don't think that when Biden was president, these chimichokes would have seen what's going on? These chamokes would have seen Trump's name all over it, and they would have been right to the press, and the left wing media would have been. It would have been nonstop, and it would never end. They'd be impeaching him. They'd be doing everything. So I can assure everybody, Trump's name is not in the Epstein list. And if it is, it has nothing to do with what he's accused of. Everybody knows Epstein. These people run in the same circles. A lot of people knew Epstein. He knew thousands of people. He went to thousands of parties. But there's only a select few that got on the Lolita Express, went down to his island, and took advantage of young girls. So, like Bill Clinton went there 27 times. Come, they're not impeaching him, arresting him. But it's going to come out that list eventually. But you can guarantee yourself that Trump wasn't on it. If he was, it would have been exposed by now. They had the list for a long time. And Maxwell was there as well. And the left, if they got a hold of that, they'd be using it. So, that's a bunch of baloney. I mean, Elon really, really just has to remember that he's not president. I mean, you got two big egos here. You have the world's richest man and the world's most powerful man in some kind of an arrangement that has to somehow work. And it was working for a while, but eventually, this big beautiful bill was the thing that got Elon all worked up, and he didn't like that. And he's got a good point. I mean, here he is trying to cut all this waste with his Doge team, and then Trump's going to up the ante on the debt by $1.5 trillion or something. So, he's saying, "Well, I'm working all this to cut these expenses and get rid of stuff," and he's upping the debt in this big beautiful bill. But there's a lot more in the big beautiful bill than debt. There's a lot of good things in it as well. But he's not President Musk, and he's got to remember that. Trump has the final say. And also, Trump has to remember that, like, he's not just some guy that was working for Trump, finding waste, fraud, and abuse. He's also got a $3 billion contract with 17 different federal agencies that was put in place in 2023 by the Biden administration. As much as they were approved by Biden, they can also be pulled. So for him to develop all the different things that he's doing, he needs that money. As well, it could result in a regulatory crackdown on Musk. 11 agencies are investigating him or suing Musk companies as we speak. And they were there doing that before Trump got elected. So because of all this trouble, rival companies have been coming to the White House asking for some of Musk's cuts to be undone, especially with U.S. aid. So it's a complicated breakup. It's not your average two guys having a difference of opinion. They're going to put each other on the dummy. There's a lot of big things going on, big money. So it's not just a simple breakup here. But Elon's father is right. Kiss and make up. America is way better off with both of them working together. And I think that's what you're going to see. It's calmed down now. It's a little bit calmed down. And I think eventually you're going to see this calm down even more and eventually go by the wayside. I don't think they're going to keep this up. And it's no good if they do, because Elon did a great job with waste, fraud, and abuse. And there's so much happening in the world now. There's so much more he can save. And he's better off being there, helping out with his Doge team, than than not being there. Let me put it that way. So over to Israel now. And I got to talk about this little goof, Greta Bumberg, whatever her name is. And she got on a boat, a publicity stunt, basically, is what it was. And it was going to go to Gaza to help out the people in Gaza. She had this big Palestinian scarf around her neck, that black and white checkered one or whatever it is they all wear. So I don't know what the hell she was trying to prove, but she went there. And I'm getting tired of this kid. When she was 14, it was a little bit cute. Here she is talking about global warming. She'd been brainwashed to believe in that nonsense, climate change. And she's up there on TV at 14 yelling, "How dare you? How dare you?" You go, "Oh, look at the cute little girl, big mouth, sent there by her parents to be a big mouth. Really taken advantage of by her parents to put her in the limelight, something they could never get themselves into." But now she's not a kid anymore. She's 22 years old. So she's in this boat with a Palestinian scarf sailing around whatever the heck, the Mediterranean there, the Eastern Mediterranean by Gaza. And of course, the Israeli defense forces, they, they saw the boat, intercepted it, and arrested all of them. Boat was commandeered, and she said she was being kidnapped, but that wasn't the case at all. They were there. They commandeered the boat, arrested them all for what they were doing, hauled them in, gave them sandwiches, took care of them, and then they said, "Okay, now you're going home." And they threw her on a plane and flew her to France, back to Sweden via France. And the rest of them are going home as well. And that's that. She accomplished absolutely nothing as usual, but she did get some beautiful publicity with her publicity stunt. Who knows if she was even sailing on that boat or they just dropped her in at the last minute when the Israeli forces were coming? Who knows? Because now they can't believe this kid. They're using her as a pawn for this, whatever the hell they're doing. 5 of her crew members were also detained, refused to leave voluntarily. They don't want to leave. "We're going to Gaza to help." No, you're not. They're deported. They're deported. They're French nationals. They called their yacht the selfie yacht, and they described the yacht as carrying celebrities. I'm telling you, it gets goofier, and none of these people are celebrities. We know that, but whatever, whatever. They're all gone. Their 15 minutes of fame for 2025 is over. They're all going home. Greta's going home back to her parents. They should put a leash on her so she can't be wandering around the world causing trouble and doing crazy things. But she's going home. Click your heels together 3 times, Greta. You're going home. You're going home. There's no place like home. Okay, staying on the Trump train, I just noticed over the weekend he doubled down on the steel and aluminum tariffs in Canada. I guess the dopey elbows up routine that Carney and Ford are using don't work, obviously, because Trump said, "I'm going to throw another 25% on everything." And here we got big mouth Doug Ford, the guy who talks big but never does anything. What he did was he said, "We're going to start putting a tariff on electricity." He's going that route again. Well, shut it off if they don't pay. I don't know. I mean, that didn't work. They already did that, tried that, didn't work. Trump just put more tariffs on. So you got to figure that dopey elbows up routine isn't working. And Ford says he's going to put tariffs on the energy again. And Carney hasn't said what he's doing because he claims they're in the middle of negotiations. So he doesn't want to do anything to retaliate because they're in the middle of negotiations. I mean, how long have they been negotiating this? Other countries, there were 70 countries that were negotiating. They all seem to get deals, even China and all these other countries. Canada's the only one who can. Well, he hasn't raised tariffs. He's not gonna. So he's not gonna raise them. But that's probably a smart move. If he raises them, Trump's just going to raise them again anyway, so why bother? Just sit there and figure something out, try to negotiate something. And we have to face the fact that Carney and Ford, they're just not the right people to be dealing with Trump. I mean, when Carney went there, it was embarrassing to Canada. I mean, they're so off base that they're actually going to destroy Canada if they keep it up. And that appears to be the case since day one of Carney's reign here. I mean, everybody elected him because they thought he could handle Trump. Remember that? I can handle Trump. I'm the only one. Pierre can't go down there. I have the experience. I was governor of the Bank of England and Canada and blah, blah, blah. Canadians fell for it. Canadians fell for it. But when he went to Washington, he ran away with his tail between his legs. I mean, I still believe the end of this is going to be the liquidation of Canada. Canada's going to. They may not be the 51st state, but there's going to be some kind of economic union with the United States. It's inevitable. There has to be. Canada's broke. Canada's even a country anymore. So there's nothing that they're going to do. Oh, yeah, you can stave it off. It might not be another 10 years. We might not see it in our lifetime even. But at some point, as Canada falls farther into the abyss, um, we're going to be in trouble. Diversity is not our strength. This multiculturalism is a bust. And we're seeing that every day in Canada. And you're seeing what happens when you just open the borders and let people in. You're seeing it in California right now. You can't do it. There's got to be controls. You're going to let people in. You have to get the people in that you want in. You just can't let them indiscriminately from all over the world until they take over. And we're seeing that right now in Ontario. We're seeing what's happening. There's a takeover. It's an invasion. You think it's just immigration or anything. You're nuts. It's an invasion where the people are using our freedoms and liberties against us to get their way. If you don't believe that, you better open your eyes. Look around. Look around. Oh, it never fails to amaze me what $213 million gets you. In a news release, the coppers said the suspects sought in a shooting in St. Catharines residence are linked to the drug subculture. Whoa. What a revelation. I never thought of that. You mean to tell me all the shootings in St. Catharines are related to the drug subculture and gangs and everything else? No, I don't know who said this. This guy just dropped in from Mars. Are you kidding me to make a statement like that? Of course it is. We know what it is, buddy. Fix it. Every shooting in this area is linked to a drug subculture. And I can describe what they all look like too if you want. Oh, yeah, yeah. I can. Most people can. People are going to call you a racist. But the facts are the facts. What do you want me to do? I don't make up the facts. So all you have to do is go to that scumbucket city of Toronto and start rounding up the usual suspects. The problem here is not who's doing it. We know who's doing it. Most people know who's doing it. The cops know who's doing it, but they're powerless to stop them. We need tougher laws, tougher judges, and that they hand out tougher sentences. We need our law system, our legal system improved. And we have to let the police do their jobs. They have to have powers that allow them to stop these crimes before they happen. They know who to tag. They know who the bad actors are. They could probably name them all for you, just like ICE in the States. Do you think when they went looking for these illegals, they didn't know who they were looking for? They knew exactly who they were looking for. They've run into them a ton of times. They see them on the streets. Intelligence has told them who they are. The problem is they can't do anything until the crooks do something like murder, kill somebody, or something like that. They know who to tag. They just need the authority to tag them and get them off the street and put them away for good. The only way to do it is to give the police powers back to roust these people before they commit crimes. They gotta they gotta proact. They gotta act before they do. Take them off the streets. Book them, Dano. Check their legal status. See if they're here legally. See if they're part of a gang. If they're not, send them home. Get them out of here. But that's what the problem is. So this revelation, they're linked to a drug subculture. Oh, come on. Everybody knows that. We've known that for years. We know what the people look like. Cops know their names. It's the same people going through the turnstiles at the courtyard, at the courthouse. Come on. Got to smarten up. I don't understand why we're even allowing this. I don't get it. I just don't get it why it's being allowed. This drug subculture that everybody knows about, yet it is. Courts are just taking them in, slapping them on the wrist, giving them $25 bail, letting them out on their own recognizance. You're going to be good, right? Oh, yes, I would be very good. I'll be very good. Okay, go ahead. You go. They don't report. They just commit another crime. They hire juveniles to do it because they know juveniles can't be tried as adults, and they're out in the next day and they don't even get charged. I mean, it's a system. They're playing the system. They know the system better than we do, and they're playing it perfect. You can't stop it without giving police powers to roust these guys and arrest them. So there's to it. Till they're actually going to do that, we're just going to have to suffer through this wave of crime, these shootings, these jewelry store robberies, these smash and grabs, these home break-ins. Cops won't do anything for you. I wish we could carry. People should be carrying. They'd be a little bit more careful, these crooks. They knew that jewelry store guy had a gun on his hip. They'd be a little bit more careful about what they're doing because the owner could have dropped all three of them in the store immediately with a gun. Okay, so let me get to my third sponsor, Hamel Machine Company. And since 1948, Hamel Machine Company has been servicing the industry in the Niagara Falls area and region, and now around the world, to give them what they need. And what they need is repairs. When a machine goes down, they need the parts fixed or reverse engineered or even 3D printed for them. They need it fixed because time is money. The longer they're down, the more money they lose. So having a great machine shop or multiple machine shops in a region is very, very important to industry. And that's what Hamel Machine Shop does. They take care of these industries, make sure they're running tip top. And if they can improve upon the piece they're fixing, the part of the equipment they're fixing, to make it work better and faster, they do that. They have the expertise to do that. Now, when you go to Hamel, just as a homeowner, they're going to help you out too. If you need something done around the house with metal, you need something printed, a part printed, whatever you need fixed, go to Hamel. They can do it for you. And they serve us, they serve industry, they're innovators. They have the graphic people there, the graphic engineers, they have the IT people, they have the electrical engineers. They have whatever you need to fix whatever you have. And they're not just for big industry or small industry, they're for all of us. Hamel Machine Shop, around since 1948, serving industry and the local residents. Give them a call today if you have something that needs to be fixed. You can go to their website, hamelmachine.ca, to see the wonderful work they do with the wineries and rich products and the cities here. They work with the city of Niagara Falls. They work with the region. They work with everybody around the world. Check them out today. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. And support local businesses because they support not only the show, they support the city. Thank you very much. And they are one of the contributors to the Rick Rose event. Oh, it's so interesting that people are starting to wake up and woke is really going broke. The month of June has been forced on people as Pride Month, but now it's going the way of the posties. There's a major movement to change it to Veterans Month. And that's something I can back 1,000 million percent. I would love to see Veterans Month. The Pride movement has lost its appeal. It really has. All the rights that they have been valiantly fighting for over the last 30 years have been realized. There's no need for Pride days, weeks, months, and that's all passe now. So why continue on with it? Let's move to Veterans Month. And right now, there are people in Niagara Falls who are looking to build a crosswalk to pay tribute to our veterans. There's two in Welland. They've already put them down on the road. And now we're looking in Niagara Falls to do the same thing. And I think this is fantastic. And I've offered my help to the person doing it. I won't mention who it is. I have talked to them and I've offered my help because this is something I really, really would like to see. I think that it can be completed by Remembrance Day. Well, at least I hope it can. I think Councillor Patel forwarded the motion. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me on that one. I think she was the one that put the motion down to have this crosswalk. I'll look it up. I'll have to look it up to honor our veterans, and hopefully it comes to fruition. I think it's more appropriate to celebrate those who have fought, and many have died, for the freedoms we enjoy today, the freedoms that have been fought and won for by the Pride movement. A month dedicated to veterans makes sense. I think a veteran should be thanked. Every time you see a veteran, you should walk up, shake his hand, and thank his or her hand, and thank them for their service. I do it when I see a veteran with an attitude of reverence, respect, and pride. Lest we forget. We don't want to forget. Some gave all. All gave some gave all. And that's what we got to remember. So I hope this helps. I've already got people who are saying, Gary Wilkinson, I'm in. Paul, whatever you need, I'm in. Gary Wilkinson stepped up right away. We're gonna have more people stepping up. So as soon as I hear this thing's ready to go, I'm gonna get on the show here and talk about it and see if we can raise enough money. I think it's like 8 to 10,000 for a crosswalk. But I do believe that there are groups that will help pay for this and get in on this one. This is a good one to honor our veterans. Okay, let's go down to LA. My goodness, LA is on fire. They got to get rid of this Biden Obama sanctuary state nonsense in LA. They've been inundated. They're overrun with illegals. And now they're taking it to the streets of LA because they don't like what Trump's doing with ICE deporting them all, shutting the border. So they're causing trouble. They burned 5 of these driverless cabs down there, and they're just fighting with the police, fighting with ICE, throwing crap off the freeway on their cop cars. They're really causing a nightmare down in LA. So Trump ordered 4,000 National Guard in, and he dispatched 700 Marines to Los Angeles to take care of this big mess down there. Now, the Marines cannot fight against the American people. That would be a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, saying that federal troops cannot be used against civilians in normal law enforcement. So they can't participate in the arrest and all the other stuff. But what they're there for is to protect federal property, federal buildings, federal courthouses, anything federal, they're there to protect. Now, if Trump decides to invoke the Insurrection Act, then he can use federal troops to engage law enforcement activities like searches, seizures, and arrests. The Insurrection Act has been used 30 times in history. That's it. The last time being in 1992 during the Rodney King riots in LA. So it has been used in modern times. I think 1992 would have been what? Was that Bush in power? Who was in power in 92? I think it was Bush. I think it was George Bush, Big Bush. That was wasn't that the Desert Storm, and then Baby Bush was in after 9/11. It's never been used without being asked by the state in turmoil, though. So Trump has done this, and he's not talking to Newsom because Newsom's a clown, and Trump's just going to do it. And Newsom, of course, is yelling and screaming that he can't do that. It's against the Constitution and everything else. But yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. You've let this whole state go in the can. That's what Trump said. He's a nice guy, but he's incompetent. And I say the same thing a lot of times about stuff. Now, Trump isn't messing around. You saw what happened in Portland when they took over the Capitol building there for the whole summer. I don't know if you remember that. They went and were protesting Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And then what they did is they rushed the Capitol building, took it over, and they were there all summer. They wouldn't go in and do anything. And that was Biden, Harris, calling them peaceful protesters. Meanwhile, they took over the Capitol building and held it for the whole summer. That's not going to happen again with Trump. You know what? And if the governor doesn't ask the National Guard to be called in, well, it isn't going to happen again, especially knowing that Newsom is a left-wing loony and will let LA burn to the ground. Sanctuary City is going to burn to the ground. Well, not on Trump's watch. He's calling them in. Guard is there. The National Guard is there, 4,000 of them. The Marines are guarding federal property. For now, anyway, we'll see how these illegals respond to more National Guard walking the streets. Now, they're saying it's because the National Guard came in. That's why they're acting up like this. No. After the National Guard came in, things quieted down. Sunday night was a nightmare, everything on fire and everything. Monday night was a lot better. Now, these thugs, they're paid for by the left wing. Somebody's paying them. They're actually fighting ICE and police. So that's why it can't be tolerated. That's all there is to it. Now, imagine Americans in Guadalajara, Mexico, doing the same thing. What do you think the results would be if this was all happening by expats, Americans living in Guadalajara? I guarantee you they'd be shooting them. Yeah, only in America. Now, Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, they should be arrested for treason for allowing this great state to devolve into the cesspool that it's become. A lawless, violent city that is totally out of control at this point. And the idiot Maxine Waters asked why the National Guard are there with guns. Well, you dope. They need guns to protect themselves against the criminals that would kill them. They're attacking ICE and police. Of course they need guns. Now, these riots aren't just sticking in LA now. They're moving to New York. They're moving to Baltimore. They're moving all over the place. They're going to be in every big city in the States. And if this isn't a great example in LA why these illegals have to be deported, then nothing is. And I said that a month ago on my show. If you think these people are going to just go quietly, no, that's not the way they operate. They love to riot. They love to have a revolution. A lot of them have been through revolutions before. This is normal place in the countries they come from, and they're going to start here, and it's time to round them up and get them all the hell out of here. If you're waving a Mexican flag while burning down a city and burning the American flag, you're in the wrong country. And Tom Homan is going to make sure you find your way back home. You're getting sent back. Now, somebody witnessed truckloads of bionic face shields for protesters coming into the city, truckloads of them. So you got to say, if they've got the bionic face shields and what they're for, they have the built-in gas masks and that, like, there's only one thing you need them for, and that's if there's a riot, they start shooting tear gas at you. So they must be expecting to fight the police and National Guard. And who's financing these shields? Where are they getting it from? Somebody's buying them and sending them to them. And this is exactly the same MO as BLM and Antifa riots several years back. You remember they're putting skids of bricks on streets. So these guys, these riders can pick them up and throw them through windows and throw them at cops and everything else. It's all pre-planned. It's all orchestrated. Somebody's paying for it. And even these people are being paid to be there. A lot of them. They'll get to the bottom of it, and who's ever responsible is going to pay. It's getting so bad, they're calling right now to move the 2028 Summer Olympics. They want to move the Summer Olympics out of LA. It's too dangerous, and it's a terrible venue for any major world event. See where that goes. Stay tuned because they're saying let's move it to Miami or somewhere that's not as crazy as LA is right now. So I would say that the Olympic Committee is looking at it saying, hey, they're still going to be rioting in 2 years. We're not going to get any relief from this. We got to get rid of these guys, these Olympics. We got to get them out of here and put them somewhere sane. I don't know, but that's what the rumor is. They want to get them out of there. So, as crazy as that sounds, it makes sense in a way. Anyway, that's it for today. The world's a wacky place. We get so much going on. It's nuts. Can't keep up to it all. Ukraine and Russia is still out there. There's something going on there every day. Trump's trying to get all these guys to make peace, but it's getting tough because there's sides that don't want to be involved in peace. They want war. They want war. That's what they're looking for, and they're not going to settle. Us in Canada, we just sit here and watch the world go by, watch the smoke, watch the wacky weather, and hope it turns out good. Hope it turns out good for everybody. Anyway, my name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Your City, Your Voice on 4680Q Radio, downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in daily, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at noon, live on 4680Q online. Or you can catch the video around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time I post everything, that's when it is, and it goes up on YouTube, Rumble, and X. I'll be back tomorrow with Habsolutely, talking about our beloved Habs. Tomorrow's Habsolutely. And on Thursday, I got to get Peter Dichter in. Peter's back from Naples. He has a lot to say. I was talking to him at the Rick Rose event. He wants to come in. We'll see if I can get him in on Thursday. Friday's finally Friday, and the next week is going to be City Council. So we got lots going on next week. Lots going on all over the place. Lots going on in the region. We got to get Chris Regas in. Anyway, big stuff coming up. I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you all. And enjoy the outdoors. It's beautiful out there today. Not so smoky, not so much pollen. And I'm not feeling it too bad today. We'll see you tomorrow at noon with Habsolutely. Ciao, ciao for now.